Alright, I've got all my holes made all the way around, and I'm ready to start stitching. And it's going to be the same saddle stitch as before. Hopefully I did that well enough so that you can see it and get it. To estimate the amount of thread that I'm going to need, I don't want to just pull off a piece and have it not long enough. I want to make sure it's going to be long enough. So I'm going to go and just kind of take my thread and go right around the project so that I can do it in one piece. So that's once around. That's not how much thread you need. Remember, it's a saddle stitch, so it's kind of a double stitched deal. So you need to go, well, there's twice. To be on the safe side, I'll use 4 lengths with whatever the project is for the diameter or the circumference of the project. So I have probably 4 feet of thread here, which can be a little cumbersome to work with. You can do it in pieces. You can do a piece down each side and a piece across the bottom, which is how I did this one. But again, this was a prototype. So I can, along the way, you learn what you did that you want to do different. And that's what I'm doing here. Doing a few things different. So I have my thread off. Remember, I put my needles back on my bar. When I'm sewing on my machine, I have a pin cushion that I keep handy when I'm sewing clothing or what have you. I'm going to make a canvas haversack that should be pretty interesting too. I don't know if I'll do video on that yet or not, but we'll see. So I'm going through the top hole. For the first go through, first time through, it doesn't matter which way you go through. And in reality, it doesn't really matter anyway. But if you're doing something where appearance counts, when I do a holster, I always do it the same way. I always take the top first. Okay. Pull it through. And I'm not pulling it tight, I'm just pulling it through. I'm going to pull that thread up out of my way, take the other one, and come back up through the same hole that I went through the other way. And I'm going to keep a finger on this just to hold it, and then I'm going to come through. And when it gets to the end, then I'm going to give it a little bit of a tug. You don't have to really reef on it. I'm giving it a little tug. If your hands are sensitive and you don't have the calluses that I have, you're going to want to wear a leather glove or figure out a way to give it this pull, because during the course of doing, even with my hands as calloused as they are, when I'm doing a holster, I will cut into my fingers with the thread. But no, it's just our regular saddle stitch. And again, the one that came through, I'm holding it as I stick the other one through. Give a little tug. I'm not pulling that hard. With a saddle stitch, you're not tightening the stitch you just made, you're tightening the stitch before the one you just made. So, I'm going to continue on with this. I've showed you the saddle stitch. If you would like a more detailed video, leave me a comment. I can certainly do one. There's a link to Nigel Armitage's page. He's got some really, really great stitching videos. So I'd recommend watching his. He does things a little different. Like I said, I'm not using my stitching pony. Normally I would, because it holds the work for you and it's a little easier to do the stitching that way. But this is the way I started out. And you know what? It works just fine. You just have to be careful. Keep track of what you're doing, and you'll be fine. Uh-oh. See? Keep track of what you're doing. and you'll be fine. I just caught a loop under there is all. No big deal. That's where the stitching pony is kind of nice. Now, I haven't decided, I know this is a light leather, I haven't decided if I'm going to try to dye it. It's already dyed. I can dye it. And it'll take the dye, it just takes a little more work to get it to dye. That's all. So, I'm going to cut you off now, and I'll be back when I'm done stitching. Alright, I've stitched all the way around, and I'm going to finish off a little different this time because I have more real estate here to work with. So I'm going to back stitch a couple of them. So I'm going to go, this is my last hole at the very top. I'm going to go back through, and these are going to be a little tighter because you've already got a couple threads going through there. I'm going to go back through, and this time I'm going to pull it up this way and take my back needle and go through. So I'm going to finish this off a little different. Pull it tight. And the next one. Generally, as a rule, I'll back stitch about 3 holes. Tight. All right. Here's my 3. Now I want all my finishing to be on the back side. So this thread's already through the back. I'm going to take this one through one more hole and out the back. And I'm going to pull it tight. Make sure they're both pulled tight. And I'm not going to tie this off this time. What I'm going to do is take my scissors and I'm going to cut it off, and I'm going to leave about 1/4 of an inch hanging up. And I'm going to take my lighter and we're going to melt it down, and what it does is it forms a ball on there, and we'll just kind of flatten it out. It's not necessarily the prettiest, but it is secure, and the part that makes it secure is the back stitching. So we've got it like that. Hope you can see that. And there it is. It's not coming apart in any way, shape, or form. I dropped my multi-tool in there. There's some extra space in there. So if I want to put something else in there, I certainly can. I can snap it, and it's closed. It looks pretty cool. And you can rest assured that it's not coming apart. And you did it yourself. You took some scraps of leather that you picked up for next to nothing, and you were able to make a sheath. Heck, you can make 2. Some of the Hobby Lobby leather, you know, there's different colors. But now if I want, I can use this one to put a fire kit in, and this one for my multi-tool. There's enough room in here where I can pack in a little tinder if I want to. If you really want to get fancy, put a loop on the side or something so you can put a ferro rod in it. You can run it right into the stitching here. And that's something I'm not going to cover because it gets kind of tricky. But I've done it on a knife sheath before, and it's pretty cool. So, there you go. Doug, I hope this has been helpful for you. give you a little insight into the actual process that kind of goes into the leather working. Anybody that wants to have the dimensions and so on of everything, I'm certainly willing to send those to you. I'm not going to post everything because it's just takes a while, but I'm happy to send you some templates if you want them. Probably run them off on the copier and shoot them out that way. And I'll put all the measurements and stuff on it, and you can have a box like that. It's just a leather box with a belt loop, and it should fit a 2-inch belt, which is a pretty heavy belt. It'll work on a smaller belt too. So there you go. Stay safe, God bless, and make some leather. Make some leather goods. There was no wet forming or anything involved in this. Just a little tricky bending. So y'all take care and have a fantastic night.